Hello, how are you? Many people, when they have fatty liver, hepatic steatosis, or liver problems, immediately think that the worst food to consume is fat. Of course, excess fat in the diet is harmful, but there is one food that is much worse for your liver's health, and often you don't even realize how bad it is for you. What's worse, sometimes you consume it unknowingly in many processed foods. I'm going to tell you what this food is so you can pay attention. Stay until the end, because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask if you've been feeling tired, having slow digestion, or a bloated belly. Have you ever been diagnosed with fatty liver? Are you getting any follow-up care? Have you changed your diet? Write that for me down below in the comments. And how old are you? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video. That's really important to me because it shows that you're not just supporting this video here, but the channel as a whole, and that's very important to me here on YouTube. When we think about the liver and about fatty liver, of course the natural thing is to think about reducing fat. That makes sense especially when you think about fats, like fried foods, trans fats, saturated fats, because they really do worsen inflammation in our bodies. But there's one food that's even worse for your liver, especially when we think about fatty liver disease, when it comes to fat accumulation not related to alcohol. This food is sugar, sugar syrup, and foods that behave like sugar in our bodies, and especially the sugar that's hidden in your everyday diet. When we think about this, a lot of people say, but I don't even buy sugar. I don't even have white sugar at home, Patricia. So how can you say that I'm consuming sugar? Sometimes you don't have sugar at home to put in your coffee, for example, but you buy boxed juice, ready-made mate tea, ready-made iced tea, soda. Sometimes you buy sweets or even cereal. Oh, I bought oatmeal, but I don't like plain oatmeal. I'm buying this oatmeal here, the one with chocolate flavor. Sometimes it's bread, packaged cake, or even products that seem healthy but contain high fructose corn syrup. Like for example, protein bars, cereal bars, which look like light, healthy products, but there's a large amount of hidden sugar in there, disguised. And I won't even get into that stuff like filled cookies, ready-made sauces, products that just by looking at them, we already know have a lot of sugar in them, a lot of processed, industrialized stuff, cookies, bakery products. We already know those have a lot of sugar, for sure. The problem with these products that have a lot of sugar in their composition is that this sugar goes very quickly to the liver. What happens in our body is that this large amount of sugar enters the bloodstream, and then we release a large amount of insulin to compensate for it. This insulin stores the excess sugar as fat, as triglycerides, because you're not going to use it at that moment, and preferably it gets stored in the visceral central abdominal region. So this is called hepatic lipogenesis, which is when the liver converts this carbohydrate into triglycerides. And over time, this ends up being something cumulative that increases inflammation and fat infiltration in the liver, which is called steatohepatitis. Over time, this can progress to fibrosis and even cases of cirrhosis. In fact, nowadays, it's increasingly common to see cases of people who have liver fibrosis, liver cirrhosis, loss of liver function, and who don't drink, who don't consume alcohol, because they have a very unbalanced diet. That's because they are completely sedentary and don't do any physical activity at all. Of course, there are also other foods or products that we consume daily that are harmful for our liver. Alcohol is definitely one of them. It's extremely toxic to our liver and should be avoided. If you already have steatosis or liver problems, you should avoid it as much as possible because it accelerates inflammation. And there are chemical compounds that worsen liver health. As I mentioned before, fried foods, excess added fat in your diet makes things worse. Our liver also increases inflammation, especially when it comes to saturated fats or trans fats. And processed meats, like ham and mortadella, because they contain nitrites, saturated fat, a lot of sodium, and sometimes even sugar. So it ends up being a bad combo for your liver, and they should be consumed as little as possible. Remember that I have a playlist here on the channel about liver problems, sharing lots of tips. What you can do to reduce liver problems to improve the health of this organ, which is so important for us. Let me tell you, if you have fat in your liver, your body usually benefits a lot if you lose 5% to 10% of your weight. You already see a big improvement in insulin sensitivity. When you cut out liquid calories like soda, juice, alcoholic drinks, and sweetened coffee or teas, this sugar in liquid form, when we remove it from our diet, it has a very positive impact on our liver in the medium and long term. So increase protein, increase fiber, increase healthy fats, but increase them proportionally in relation to the rest of your diet without overdoing it. Healthy fats will also help you a lot in this regard. And reducing the total amount of carbohydrates in your diet, preferably choosing low glycemic index carbohydrates to avoid insulin spikes, will also help you. Remember that I have many videos here on the channel about low-carb foods, low-carb diets, teaching you more about how to follow a healthy, balanced, and sustainable low-carb diet in the long term, which can also help your liver health. Also remember that physical activity will help you, whether by increasing your insulin sensitivity or by burning off the excess triglycerides and fat in our bodies. Let me know down below. Did you know about this important role that sugar and simple carbohydrates that act like sugar play in our liver? And have you already started making any changes in this regard? I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out. And share it with anyone who would enjoy it or who needs it. Let's work together to spread this wave of positivity. That's what I want here on the channel. See you next time. Bye.